It's time for your weekly NBA basketball fix with Alejandro,
MC, E-Legend, Just Hack, and Where's Ryan?
Are you ready? The Basketball Only podcast is now in session.
Yo! Zach, reporting live from home base. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's well. Today, I am going to post my predictions for the NBA Finals for the 2018-2019 NBA Finals between the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I almost forgot. I ain't gonna lie, I did that pause. But Golden State Warriors versus the Toronto Raptors. Here it goes. So my prediction is that the Golden State Warriors will beat the Toronto Raptors in 6 games. Now, I factored in Toronto beating them twice in the regular season, which means absolutely nothing. I factored in injuries, which on Golden State's side, only one of those injuries really matters, which is Kevin Durant's injury. Shout out to Easy Sniper. But just feel that Golden State is just a more experienced team and the better team. I do not foresee the Golden. I really don't even see a challenge. I mean, it may be a challenge. I feel like Toronto's playing its best basketball, and I'm hoping that it's a challenge because if not, it's going to be a really boring finals. I don't feel like this is Golden State's, best challenge. I feel like it's just their latest challenge. And they're facing a team that has Kawhi Leonard, which he's playing all-world basketball right now. Max Kellerman said he was the best.
Of course Kawhi Leonard is the best player in basketball, and it's about time people recognize it. He was the best. With a healthy KD, clearly Golden State would have won, and people would have mistakenly called KD better than Kawhi. Kawhi, you remember what he did against Philadelphia? Anyone remember the last shot, let alone the series? Remember what he then did to the Greek freak, who I thought was going to prove himself the best player in the game? A physical mismatch. And then what he just did to the Golden State Warriors. The most points scored in a single postseason ever, MJ 1, LeBron 2, Kawhi 3. Wendy just brought it up. MVPs with finals MVPs, 2 separate franchises. Kareem, LeBron, now Kawhi. You know who the 3 greatest players of the modern era are? MJ, Kareem, and LeBron. And Kawhi finds himself on lists with those kind of names. Larry Bird is right there with those kind of names. Everyone always likes to talk about defense. They pay lip service to it. Kawhi plays defense like he's Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather, but now his offense is almost as good as anyone's in the game. Let me tell you something else, finally. If Kawhi Leonard goes to the Clippers, you heard it here first. The Clippers are winning the NBA title next season.
Oh.
And, whatever. Max Kellerman probably needs to just stick to boxing. I respect his boxing IQ more than anything else. But, yes, Toronto will lose in 6 games. The finals is just a different beast, and I don't know if Kawhi's supporting cast can take on that challenge. I could be wrong. That's why there are predictions. But I just feel like Golden State is just the superior team at this point. They have the better players on their side. KD is not going to be out the whole finals. If it looks bad, he may not even come back. Who even knows? May not even have to. So say that to say that, you know, it's not totally lopsided. It's not like last year with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I mean, who, you know, I don't know. I just don't really see the Toronto Raptors putting up much of a fight. I hear a lot of people saying, mainly E-Legend, talking about he hopes the Raptors can win, but he feels that Golden State is going to win. And E-Legend is correct with that feeling. The Raptors are not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I mean, just looking at how everything is, Golden State met its match with Houston and beat them in 6 games. So, you know, imagine playing against the Toronto Raptors, who, I mean, Toronto had a better record, but are they better than Houston Rockets? I probably don't think so. I don't think so. But I don't know. Anyhow, so that's my take. Raptors will lose in 6 games. Golden State Warriors will win their 3rd straight. And then you can catch the podcast or this channel for follow-up news, because we'll be talking about free agency, which starts June 30th this year at 6 p.m. We'll talk about, I guess we're going to talk about the draft or whatever. I don't know. I got to holler at Alejandro MC to find out. Shout out to the podcast crew, Alejandro, MC, E-Legend, and Ryan. Ryan, stop being scared and post on here already. E-Legend, you're right to feel that the Raptors are going to lose. And, you know, hurry up and y'all need to hurry up and post on here already. So, over and out. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Feel free to call me a jerk or anything else in the comments. You know, thank you for subscribing. I'll at y'all later. Heck out.
Welcome to the Basketball Only Podcast. Give it up!
Yeah.
We're back.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. So,
Oh, you're making money moves like that.
well, you know, it wasn't the best timing that I went away for 2 weeks because of finals and everything. But, you know, you have to take the opportunities when they're there, you know. And I've always said since the beginning of the podcast that I'm Alejandro MC, and being an MC takes more than just being the host of this great show. I also have a rap career, so I have to take those hand in hand. But we watch the games. I try following as much as possible too. Yeah. We gave our predictions beforehand. I think you were the only one that was right, that the Raptors were gonna win.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Yes. Oh man, Ryan killing it out here. Shout out to Heck and E-Legend. They weren't able to make it today, but I'm sure they're gonna be watching later. And yes, and they're just happy that, well, they're not happy to not be here, but they're happy that we're still able to do the show. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, man, so how did you foresee the Raptors winning? Were you taking into account, were you taking into account the attrition, what ended up happening with Golden State and the injuries? Or were you just like going into it, like you knew that the Raptors were just going to take them?
It's more intuition than anything else. I found over the course of the series that the one key trait the Raptors had as an entire team was mental toughness, because I personally felt there were a lot of points during that series where the calls were not going their way. The ball wasn't falling. Like, things just were not working out for them, but the consistent effort over the span of the games is what sealed the deal for them. And that was something I felt Golden State was lacking in a lot of ways.
Despite having been a champion before and all that.
Yeah, you know, what the Golden State Warriors have done in the last 4 years has been impressive. And I don't want to detract from that. But the speed that they switched from being an underdog team that everyone was surprised, you know, like they made that first big splash, and everyone was kind of taken aback by it, and then just decided to really increase the pressure. To go from that to someone like a team that's very likable to a team that's very entitled, and it just seems like the culture has soured a little bit in some ways. So it was weird. It was very weird to watch. At the same time, I think that the Raptors made phenomenal adjustments. I didn't predict personally that Nick Nurse was going to do what he did with the Bucks and won. I didn't also predict that they were going to be able to contain the team the way they did. They dared everyone else to perform, and they didn't, and they ended up coming out with the trophy. So, yeah, I mean, great series, great basketball, the entire playoffs, and for it to end the way it did, it was phenomenal.
You know, I mean, definitely props to them. They showed up, they were a team. I think one of the things that we saw earlier on in the playoffs that was a bit concerning was that it seemed that was like Kawhi and Boss, and they in the first series.
Yeah.
And some players seem to be missing, like Van Vliet had gone missing. Some other players were not performing. Danny Green, you're like, where is Ibaka? And then it's like they rallied and they came together. I traced it back after they lost to Orlando.
Yeah.
That first game, right, when what was the name of the hero? The Augustine, yeah, had the game of his life, and it seemed they bounced back from that.
I mean, and if you look at who they played to get to where they are, you could definitely make the argument that they had the hardest road to the championship in a while. Because that Orlando team was coming off of a very good end to the season. It was pretty well constructed and well coached. It wasn't an easy out. The most surprising thing of the whole playoffs to me was how easily they handled the Bucks. At this point, but at the same time, it's like they had work every single series. It was not an easy out for any team they played. I don't really feel that anyone else has had to go through as much to get to where they got to.
I mean, I feel like Golden State had some pretty tough series with the Rockets and Portland.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there were some.
And I even forgot that the Clippers, they were the first that took a pound of flesh from them, you know?
That's true.
And it's and I think it added to the attrition that they suffered of 5 years of all this basketball, and then they had to go through all this tough series.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely props to them because Kawhi Leonard had to go through Giannis and the Bucks, which you love, and show that they were the best team in the regular season, the Bucks, and they went through them. I mean, in a movie-like fashion, the way that Kawhi ended it. But just a revelation how those players step up. I think they lined themselves up to make a pretty bug. Van Vliet and Siakam and them.
I mean, one person no one's I haven't mentioned yet that broke the curse. Like whatever people have been saying about him, they can't say anymore. Is Kyle Lowry. The guy balls out.
Salute to you, brother.
And it wasn't even. Like, he was playing very well, but the way he was playing and when he played up was so important because he really took the reins back for the Raptors more than once. In every game in the Golden State series, he had a couple of big boy buckets, just to open up the court. Like, the first quarter, he went nuts.
Right.
So, to play the way he did after
I think he scored the first, 12 points or something.
Yeah, he had, 17 and a half in the first quarter?
Yeah.
It was nuts. So for him to dispel all of that talk and BS about he's just not a playoff dude, it was great to see. Like so many great storylines on that team.
It's like he slayed his personal dragon or whatever was holding him back. Cause the way when you see him playing in the court, you could tell he's one of the smartest basketball players. He's so small and crafty and directs the traffic, and he's gonna draw the foul and he's gonna set the person up. But it just seemed before that. When he took the shot, then it was like he wouldn't make it, or he would shy away from shooting, and all of that went away. I mean, the way he went right at Steph Curry on the game 6 when they won, it was remarkable. But yeah, like you said, many storylines. Ibaka, Siakam. It was truly a team effort. Like Kawhi helped a lot with his gravity, and for them to know that they had a player of that caliber that they could rely on when things got tough down the stretch. But Actually, on that game that they won, the guy making plays on the stretch was Van Vliet, abusing DeMarcus Cousins. Abusing him. They ran that play, I don't know how many times, set the pick and roll, isolate on Cousins. Killed him every time.
It was nuts. And every time he made a shot, it was always super wet. So it was just so like demoralizing as a Warrior. Like for any Warriors fan, it had to be tough anytime Van Vliet touched the ball, just because he'd throw it like 40 feet in the air. It would just boop, right in the net.
Yep.
Great game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is worth mentioning. It's very unfortunate how hampered by injuries the Warriors became as the series went on, and the playoffs in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who'd have thought that the healthiest players in the team by the end of it would have been Steph, who's historically fragile, and DeMarcus Cousins, who suffered a number of injuries at this point. It's really sad. I mean, Klay Thompson tearing his ACL on a freak play. It's like insane. And it's unfortunate for the team because this is on the heels of Kevin Durant rupturing his Achilles.
Right.
No one's going to tell KD not to play because he's an athlete. Like, every 450 dudes in the NBA, every one of them would have played, regardless of the situation that night, in that situation.
Right.
KD did what anyone else would have done, gets injured. Next game that happens to Klay, it's tough.
Back-to-back blows, and we're definitely going to talk about their future in the next segment. Staying with the Raptors,
Yes.
I mean, we must talk about Kawhi's free agency. What do you I mean, it's hard to decide for that dude. Like, nobody knows. I don't know if there's a Kawhi breeder out there. But I think they did everything they could possibly do to keep that guy in Toronto. I mean,
I think so too.
they did the low management with him. They obliged in every sense in that aspect. They trusted him. Kyle Lowry said, "This is your team," handed him the keys. And they won a championship. So, and I believe they are able to offer him more money than another team can because they got him through the trade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of whether he really wants to, what he prioritizes. Does he want to be back home in this weather in a bigger market? Or does he want to rep We the North and rep that country that has showed him that they love him in every sense of the word? I think that's what how do you see it? I think that's the question, but what do you see? How do you see it?
You know, it's tough. I feel like Kawhi Leonard's a bit inscrutable, but at the same time, he's like very obviously got an axe to grind with the NBA. Like, he wants to show the world that he is one of the best to have ever picked up the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He was ready to do that when he screwed his leg up playing against the Warriors. I was at Petrolia. Nobody likes you still. So I think he's going to continue to try and put himself in situations where he can do that. And I would argue that it's very possible for him remaining in Toronto. That might be the best way to do it. Just because the way the team's constructed, he does have kind of carte blanche in terms of like, okay, well, you know, I want to load manage this night and that night and so on. So I think like there's a lot of really good synergy within that team for him to stick around. One thing I am slightly concerned about is Masai Ujiri, I don't believe is on contract, so he'd have to, you know, sign the paper again this coming off season, which could change some things because I feel like
you have offered to him yesterday, like.
Oh, of course, but I mean, it remains to be seen. There are some people who are saying that they'll offer him like infinitely more than the Raptors would. So that I think could change the situation a little bit. That being said, you know, I think it's really just up to him. The world's Kawhi's oyster. Of all the free agents that are available, he has really no. It's all check marks. Like,
because you could argue that he's the biggest impact maker that's available in free agency.
Especially for the upcoming season with Kevin Durant's injury,
exactly.
He's effectively out.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. And Kyrie showed that he cannot do it himself. And Kawhi he went to a team, like he literally got traded and in the first year won a championship and was the finals MVP and was right there in records of most 30-point games in a playoff series. I mean, he's a bad man, and
he is.
And with the Warriors weekend, the way they are, like he could go to the Clippers and possibly repeat the feat that he just did with the Raptors, because the Clippers are a similar team. They have all these like good role players that are there that will chip in and do their part, and you insert Kawhi there with the management that they have, and they could win a championship. That's not besides the question, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no team that Kawhi goes to whose chances don't immediately improve. You could put him on the Timberwolves and they'll be good. The Suns and they'll become a good team. It's tough. It's kind of just what he wants though. He's gonna get paid no matter where he goes. So any team that doesn't have max money available is just not in the running, in my opinion. But the Raptors can swing it. I think personally he'd be foolish not to stay, but we'll see. Like, it's different when you're the king of like Milwaukee, like Giannis.
No.
He's the king of Canada for the next 2-3 months. All of Canada. And
it's just what he wants to take the mantle. Because even now, he's kept that distance, almost like he built himself the space that if he wants to leave, he could leave.
yeah.
And I don't think that fan base is going to be mad at him. They're just going to be thankful. Oh, you're a professional. You came, you did your thing. That's it.
I don't think there'd be any bitterness.
But the two other questions that come with the Raptors winning is one, I mean, we gotta give props to Masai Ujiri, right? I mean, he, what a gamble. I mean, if we look back a year when the Raptors got bounced, they got swept. They got swept after having like a great regular season, and it seemed like all over again. The Raptors got owned.
Yeah.
And they seem stuck in mud. And Masai Ujiri said, you know what? I'm going to roll up my sleeves and go for it. Fire the coach, trust in Nick Nurse, trade it for Kawhi, sending away probably the most popular Raptor in DeRozan. And look, and he got the championship. I mean, the feeling of he must feel so validated in his actions. And I think also it sets up a trend where more teams might be more willing and warmer towards doing the whole 1 year rental too. You know, because now they see us like, oh, it worked out for the Raptors. You never know who gets injured. And if you could get a player like Anthony Davis, which we're going to talk about free agency later, I feel like that becomes more, he has made that more of an okay choice after winning this championship too.
I mean, it is worth noting, it's not, Kawhi was the biggest part of all of this. However, he did still make trades for Marc Gasol. He got rid of Jonas Valanciunas. He got rid of Jacob Poeltl, who wasn't doing a whole hell of a lot. He got Jeremy Lin, who wasn't, producing much. But he also held on to Pascal Siakam. He did not trade him at all, even though he was a hot commodity. And look what happened. There were games where he and Kawhi combined for like 70 points.
Yeah.
And all of those little moves, I think, factor in. But I do agree with you. Teams probably will start warming up to the idea of a 1 year rental, or at least a promised one, because success is an attractive thing. Like, we'd be having a very different conversation about Kawhi's free agency if they lost. It would be almost a given that he's leaving. Now, chances are good that he sticks around.
And the other question I had on this Raptors team, first of all, it's amazing OG Anunoby was out, which is such a good prospect as well. It's like Kawhi 2.0.
Yeah.
Right there, it's like learn from Kawhi, become our Kawhi. But yeah, is Kyle Lowry the greatest Raptor? I thought that headline, someone said it. I don't know. I think it was Kendrick Perkins. It was doing a lot of press like recently. And I was like, he might be right. I mean, I guess Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, Kyle, but nobody has delivered a championship, and he's been there the longest.
Yeah.
And he played a critical role in delivering it, so.
I think so. I mean, you could say it's Kawhi Leonard.
In 1 year, that's it?
Yeah.
I came, I saw, I conquer.
Yeah,
I came, I saw, I conquer.
Veni Vidi Vici.
Yeah.
Kawhi. I don't know. It's got to be Kyle Lowry, if only from like an emotional, like he has been the team for the longest. Also, just in terms of his storyline, he didn't have the best look coming into the team. Like, he was kind of marred by a lot of controversies when he was on the Rockets. There were questions about his attitude, his conditioning. there was a lot of, question marks
Don't
around it.
forget about Shelby Kyle Lowry.
There was also that incident where he told some female ref that he was going to meet her outside and beat her up. So there were a number of things in his past that followed him to Toronto that he's worked through and become one of the more respected players in the league. And he's a good face for the Frenchies. I think he's been there the longest. He's been through a number of LeBron sweeps. Yeah, he's probably the man.
Yeah.
Especially the way he played up. It'd be different if he didn't show up. If he was just present for them getting a ring, and he put up like maybe 8 or 9 points a game, it'd be different. But he balled out, so he deserves it.
And I was wondering how he was gonna react having DeRozan, his best friend, traded at the beginning of the season. I was like, that was my biggest question mark. I'm like, cause he could be moody too and this and that and speak out, and I was like, oh man, is he gonna like mess up the team dynamics? But no. I mean, Kawhi seems to have done a good job of saying, hey, I know that you just lost your best friend, but let's do something special. And it seemed they got on the same page and got it done.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. I mean, I'm glad we recorded this a few days after they beat my Warriors, because to be honest, I didn't want to talk about basketball. I didn't want to mention it. And I love the Raptors. The Raptors were like my second favorite team.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but not against the Warriors. The Warriors seem invincible to me. But hey, if anything, they deserve it. And I guess he also puts a chip on that team's shoulder moving forward. But we shall see what's going to happen with Kawhi. Whether that team will remain the same, definitely makes things more exciting in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think it debunks the myth that you need a super team in order to compete in this new NBA. Because I like the fact that you had a very well constructed, kind of like old school team in a way. A team that was based around one star and a lot of good complementary pieces, and they were able to get it done. Yeah. So more hope for everybody. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Let us know what you thought about the segment, what you think is the future of the Raptors going forward, whether Kawhi stays. Comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe. We are growing. All right. Basketball only, baby.